Hey, welcome to this demonstration of Google Documents. In this video, I'm going to go through all the cloud storage capabilities and apps inside of Google Drive. And without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and jump into it. So the most important thing to do is to be logged into your Gmail account. This is mine right here. And then I have like this little toolbox that comes down, and then I have my drive situated right there. Or if you don't have that going on, why don't we just type in drive into the Google bar? All right, so I'm going to click on that right there, and then this is kind of like the landing page. And then if you go to Google Drive while you're signed in, it should take you to your home page of Google Drive. All right, you can see I use mine extensively. Uh, so why don't we go through and see what all this stuff means? Why don't we just start up from the left and work our way down? So new is where we can create a new folder, or we can upload files and folders, or we can make the documents that I've been talking about with these apps right here. All right, so I will show us how to use folder when I start getting into how we can organize our Google documents. Let's keep going down our list though. We have computers right here. This is a relatively new part of Google Drive, and I think it's linked to whatever kind of linked devices you have, so you can kind of access them anywhere. But Google that for me. I'm not sure. I don't really use it too much in my workflows right now. Shared with me is where you can see every single file or folder that somebody else with a Google Drive account has shared with you. So it's like you link accounts for this one file or folder. It's really nice for group projects. Recent opens up the last stuff we were working with. Starred, if you right click on an object, you can star it right there. Right now it says remove star because I already have it starred, and I don't really want to do that. And trash kind of keeps track of everything that you've removed out of Google Drive. Let me tell you, its history is pretty extensive. So unless you manually go in and delete stuff out of trash, you'll probably always have access to most of your files on Google Drive. All right. So if I want to get back to my home menu where all my folders were, I'll just click my drive. And why don't we learn how we can organize a folder? I'm going to go ahead and delete that one. That was from a previous example. So I have a lot of things going on here. I'm going to click on new, and I'm going to go to folder, and it's going to ask me what I want to call it. I'm going to pretend like I'm a student in the class, say SGD, and this will be my folder on all of Google Drive, where I will store my SGD classes anytime I need to back up something for school or whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and make some file structures. I'm going to call this SGD 112, for instance, just a random class. And then within SGD 112, I can create chapters. And in fact, I like to go ahead and create a bunch of chapters. So I can you can right click on any element in Google Drive to get a context sensitive menu, and they offer lots of options. Why don't we go ahead and look at some of those? So I could share this folder if I wanted. I could just get a URL address and share a URL address with anybody online. I could move it to another spot inside of Google Drive. You see this little menu opening up. It's wanting to know where I should move it to. I don't want to move it though. Uh, You can search what kind of things are in there, add colors. So I can add chapter 1 is red. If I wanted, I could star it so it stars up it's like favoriting, and here's your favorite menu right there. So I'm going to go back one. You can rename it, download all the contents in it, see what the view details, so like the fine print, when it was modified, activity, stuff like that. Or you can just delete it with remove. So that context sensitive folder is good. You'll notice though, if I right click in open space, it gives me an option to create another folder. So I'll just do that. And I just will create a bunch of new folders just to hold all my chapters. I won't do that. We'll pretend like I'll just do 3 right now. We'll pretend like that's all that's in this class for right now. And here I have a nicely organized folder hierarchy where I can organize all of my material for each class. All right. So we're in chapter 2 here. So I'm going to go in and click to chapter 2. And this is where I can create new documents, slideshows, or spreadsheets, or I can upload files from the internet. So why don't we see how we can upload something real quickly? So we can either do it in two ways. We can go to New, and we can go to File Upload, and I'll go to my desktop, and let's see, I have a nice Maya folder file or Maya file type right there, and I can open it. Then we get a nice little upload icon down there, and you can see, depending on how big the file is, this little progress bar will show you how long it'll take. So a pretty small file, less than a minute. That took about maybe 10 seconds. And it was just a little character from a project I was working on. So why don't we see how we can upload a folder? And you can see my Gunker file right there. If I try to click on it, then Google Drive doesn't have a preview for Maya files, so we can't see it. So why don't we see another way where we can upload things? And you can actually just drag and drop stuff off your desktop. See, that's my desktop there. Just going to drag and drop it right there. And we'll see how long that one takes. I had some screenshots in it, so it's done. It's pretty fast, huh? So now that we have some screenshots, we can use Google Viewer to view the screenshots I just uploaded. So that's a real-time baked down version of the character. There we go. So that's how we can upload things two ways. I do want to note that sometimes you may want to right-click on a folder before you upload it and send it to a compressed zip folder. That way it makes it a little bit smaller. So if I right-click on it, go to Properties, 529 kilobytes. Let's see how big the non-zip folder was. So we saved about 125 kilobytes. That looks small for things this size, but for big projects, it's always better to kind of maybe zip up your folder if you were maybe, say, uploading or turning in a whole game project inside of a Unity game engine. So same thing we can do here. We can just drag and drop that zip folder right on top there, and it should upload even faster now that it's smaller. Big difference though, if it's zipped, we really can't see the contents. We can get a preview of the names, but notice how I click on them, I can't view them. So zip screenshots kind of function just like files, and they're much easier to download for people. So if I click on screenshots, I can download this screenshot very easily. It spits out that zip file back to me, and that's my preferred way to send larger projects or files or anything of that nature that you really don't want to get. You want all the information to make it there, let's say. All right, so we've seen how we can upload files and folders. We can share anything we want to with somebody. So if I right click on these screenshots, I can go to share. And anybody else with a Google email address, they can be invited to this folder, and both of you will share this folder. You could share a game project folder, for instance, where you're both modeling or texturing or doing concept art. You could just dump your work into one folder, have access to it. It's really awesome for project-based environments. All right, great. And I foresee most of us using Google Drive in just the way I was talking. A shared spot online where you can just dump all the work on one game that you're all working on. It's a great tool. All right, so why don't we take a look at some of the apps real quick and get through this video rather quickly. So I'm going to show us how we can use Google Docs now. I'm going to go to New and go click on Google Docs, like so. And I'm going to pretend like this is a biography, so I'm going to call this a biography. I think I need to show us how we can use some of these tools up here. And I think I'm just going to teach them on the fly as I write out somewhat of a biography. It won't be fully in depth, but it'll give us enough information for me to teach the pertinent tools I want you guys to know about. All right. So the first thing I want to do is make a table of contents. I'm just going to type table of content right there. But I don't really like that font size, so I'm going to highlight it, click and drag on it. Let's give it a bigger font. Let's make it bold, and let's align it to the center. And let's underline it too. Let's put it right in the center here. All right, great. And I want to create a table of contents here, but I don't necessarily want it to be underlined and bold. So I'm going to go to Format and Clear Formatting, and that'll make it normal font again. If I didn't, I'll undo and I'll show you what happens if I don't clear my formatting. I just get Chapter 1. I just get the same looking thing. So if you select something and go to Format and clear that formatting, then you can start from scratch. Of course, I don't want it to be that small, maybe, but I definitely don't want it to be bold and underlined. So Chapter 1, or yeah, we'll just call them chapters. Chapter 2, Chapter 3. All right, great. So now I'm just going to space enter down. We'll go back to a left formatting, and I'll be like, my life as a gamer. All right, great. So I will now hit Control and backslash to clear formatting. See that little hotkey right there? And then I'll start writing. I got my first NES when I was 5 years old. It was for like a birthday party, and all my friends were there. And it was so funny. I was more interested in Ninja Turtle toys than my first Nintendo, I guess. Since then, I've had pretty much every system. I missed out on PlayStation 1, except PS1. And there are, of course, a lot of obscure ones in the past, like the ColecoVision and stuff, but mainstream consoles, I've had them. Oh, yeah, okay. And Dreamcast. I didn't really have a Dreamcast. Okay, and a Saturn. Yeah, I didn't have that. Okay, but I've had most all of them now, so just calm down. All right, and my fave games. Let's see. Man, you can't just beat Tetris. I used to play that all the time on my Game Boy, just anywhere I went, all the way through high school into college. It was a pretty relaxing game. Streets of Rage. Oh man, two. That was probably the best one. That's old school beat 'em ups. Uh, don't get me started on beat 'em ups. I could talk. I wrote a. Okay, I know beat 'em ups. Streets of Rage 2 and Zelda Ocarina of Time. That's a good one. Destiny. I love Destiny so much. Uh, there we go. So that's a nice little section. That's not very intense. You'll definitely get a feel for my gamerhood as you just interact with me. I'm not shy about it. All right, so I'm kind of want to make the same heading, so I'm going to highlight this and go to edit and copy it, and then I'm going to press Control V. I don't want to keep going up here and pressing these things. These keyboard shortcuts are pretty awesome, but I did that so I can get the exact same formatting. What have I created? Let's see. I'm going to do that. Control backslash that clear formatting right there, and I've made games, simulations. I made this really cool Oreo brownie from scratch one time. That was delicious. Uh, do mods. I got pretty recognized for those, and I'm going to stop right there. And do I believe? Okay, no, I need to make another heading, right? We're going to copy that down, get that same 4F heading. Uh, what have I created? My experience with game development, for instance. I don't know. I'm just making up some topics on the fly. Undo that. Well, I've been studying Maya and game development for 15 plus years. I started out doing a independent study for my undergrad one summer, I was getting tired of computer science. Computer science was getting pretty stale there. And then I was like, you know what? Art was awesome. So I switched my major over to art, like, on a whim in the middle of my junior year, and started out by learning Maya, and I kind of just forged my own path in a small school. Oh man, I don't even think their computer science programs or art programs are still alive. Very prestigious school, it was a private school, but definitely not the place I should have been for art or games. So while I was there, I learned how to teach myself basically. And let me say, the skill is priceless. In fact, there have been many, many, many lectures or chapters or concepts I had no idea how to do. But the day before, I'm going through the steps to learn it, write it down, make some notes, and boom, teach it the next day. It's how I can do my job. I can just learn because I love learning. And with this field, tech moves really fast. So I can probably count on my hands and fingers the number of times, uh, so let's say 4 or 5 times where I've had to learn a program and now it's outdated and not used. So I've worked with dozens of softwares. So it comes and goes. You're always learning new stuff. You're, you are always learning new stuff with this field. And I wouldn't have it any other way. It's challenging. It's fast paced. It's creative. It's analytical. It's it's what I grew up loving. Obviously, Nintendo when I was 5. All right, so you've kind of learned more about me, and we've learned how I can type while I talk. I didn't know I could do that till right now. Uh, in fact, it may seem like I was making all of errors. That is pretty good typing for me. So I'm impressed. Uh, so why don't we learn how we can insert things into our Word document? So I'll go to Insert. We have a lot of stuff we can put in here. We can find an image on the web. So let's just search Google Images for Game Boy. I don't know why. I have I have every version of every Game Boy that came out. I think I don't know. I think I might have missed a few. Game Boys are pretty dear to me as a gamer. Oh wow, this picture is going to be huge, huh? All right, so it made its own page too. So maybe I'll just have that page as a Game Boy, and I want to break my page right here. So I'll go to Insert and Break Page, and boom, I have a whole new page. And every great paper deserves a picture of a video game system on them, just randomly thrown in there, if you ask me. Um, and now that I have another page, why don't we? I'm going to move this down there, and we can get an idea of how bookmarks work. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put my cursor at each one of these headings on these chapters per se. And now I'm going to go to Insert and go to Link. And if I wanted to, I could. Oh wait, what are we doing? Oh, looks like I gotta. No, I want to go to bookmark. We're going to insert a bookmark and then we'll link to it later. So that's a common mistake you can make in this process. What we want to do is put a bookmark, and then what we see is a little blue arrow right there that marks this spot in your document. We want to put that on every one of our sections here. This may seem dumb for something this big, but in the future, when you write your design documents that are dozens of pages of long, you're going to love a table of contents that will take you to the different parts of all your information about your games. So, with my chapter 1 bookmarked and all the rest of them bookmarked, now here's what I want to do. I want to highlight chapter 1, go to Insert, Link, and you could just link a hyperlink to another website if you wanted, but we've made some bookmarks. And we're going to link My Life as a Gamer as chapter 1. And we're going to do the same thing there. Insert, where's link? There it is. We're going to insert what I've created for chapter 2. And you know what? Control K. Oh, I just did Control \. Control K is the shortcut for linking stuff. All right, great. And I'll show us how this works uh, right now, because why don't we see how we can publish this to the web for anybody to read that has a hyperlink to it or a web address to it. So this is going to be important. This is what's going to be required of you for your assignment. We'll go to File, and we'll go to Publish to the Web. All right, this is different than sharing because we're not specifying anybody we want to share this to. We're just going to click Publish, and this is pretty secure. Nobody's going to be able to get to this unless they have this garbly goop address, right? But that looks kind of unwieldy to share something. I'm going to go ahead and select it and copy it. And let's go to my blog, and I'm going to make a new post. I'm going to call this Chapter 02. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to post hyperlinks that I just made from my biography onto my page. And I just don't want to do that. That looks kind of messy, right? Why don't we preview and see what that looks like? Oh yeah, that's really, I can't even click, that's not good. So instead of that, why don't we do something that looks a little bit nicer and say, click here for my life story. Something like that. We can even change its heading on our post on our blog. And well, I think hyperlinks automatically underline it. So we'll go to link and web address. We'll just paste that gobbledygook there. Why don't we test that link? And boom, we're right here at my Google document. Doesn't this look familiar? Yeah, I thought so. All right. So we're going to hit OK. We're going to publish that. We'll come back and edit it and put our other things on there. But I'm going to go ahead and go to view my blog. And Chapter 2, click here for my life story. And here is all the stuff I put in. Let's test my table of contents. So Chapter 1, look, it takes us right to the top there. Chapter 2, what have I created? And then Chapter 3 will take us all the way down here to the bottom. Again, not too useful in this instance, but imagine if you just had to keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling through something like this. Table of contents and bookmarks. Really nice stuff. All right, so why don't we move over now to, let's go back to my Google Drive. So I have a tab open still to my Google Drive. If you accidentally deleted out of that, you need to get back to your Google Drive. There might be a way to go from here, but maybe click on that. Nope. Nope. I think I'm just going to have to open up another tab and type in Google Drive. You can always get back to it, no problem. Go to Google Drive, and there we are at the top. I'm going to navigate back down to my SGD Chapter 2. No, that's not it. Chapter 1. Oh, no, that was it. Nice. There's my biography right there. Now I'm going to go back and let's create a slide sheet. So this is kind of like PowerPoint presentation. It should be pretty familiar for anybody that's used that before. I'm going to go ahead and pick a theme like so. And I'm going to quickly just demonstrate how we can move things around and make a few slides. You'll be using this for part of your this chapter's assignment as well. So great. Why don't we learn how to do that? So that orange is nice and blinding. I like for my audience to have to squint at my presentations. Makes me think that they were really thinking about it, but they're just trying to look at it. Okay, so we're going to call this presentation my favorite game. There we go. And spell check is always there if we need it. All right, and why don't we just say it's should I be serious or funny? Let's give a break and let's do Streets of Rage, because that's probably the most serious statement I will ever make in my life. Streets of Rage is probably my favorite game of all time. All right, so there's my title right there. It's pretty good so far. But we need another slide because I don't want to just have one slide on my presentation. So we'll go to new slide. Boom. When we go to new slide, oh wow, it's actually not all orange. Somebody knew what they were doing here. All right, but this is kind of a slide on here. So I'll be like, oh man, history of the rage. like so. So, you know what? I'm going to go to Wikipedia and look up Streets of Rage 2 and get some basic stats for it. Strats of Rage. No, I want Streets of Rage. See, I'm telling you, I might as well just. Maybe I need to say what I'm typing so I type better. Here we go, man. Streets of Rage 2 for the Sega Genesis. Doesn't get better. There's a little kid on rollers on rollerblades. You know how awesome rollerblades were in the 90s? Everybody wanted to play as Skate. Yeah, his name was Skate. Yeah, whatever. He's awesome. I played as that guy. He's a big wrestler. He, he said, "Oh yeah." Let's see. So here are some nice stats that we can add. Um, so this is typically where I would split my monitor into two sides so I can have all my stats on one. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That way you can see what I'm typing as I type it. So let's say developer, and let's just give some stats. Sega and Ancient. I guess that a lot of these studios are just going to be completely defunct or merged or whatever. All right. Publisher, again, Sega coming through with some awesome games. Um, platforms, arcade. It came out on the arcade first, probably Mega Drive, or what we call it, the Genesis. Did it come out on anything else? Oh yeah, there's been just tons. PSN of re-releases, 3DS, and eShop. So I guess that means mobile or something. I don't know. And let's say release. When did this come out? So this is an old game, man. December 20th in 1992. I was about 8 years old when that came out. I was in second grade. And genre, proudly will type that any day. All right, cool. So those are just some. Okay, maybe I should call this stats of the rage, and then I want to do something like this. Um, history. Let's do history of the rage, uh, and I'll kind of give my one, two about what's going on here. And I'm going to do something crazy here. I'm going to align this over to the right with the align button, and do the same thing over here too. That way, I'll just be able to put a little picture of the rage over there. In fact, I'm just going to drag and drop that picture from Wikipedia, and I'll just leave it there for safekeepings. Um, the came out. Game came out as a rebuttal to Capcom's Final Fight. So that's another huge beat 'em up in the day. Sega wanted a rival beat 'em up. Beat 'em ups were huge back in the day. They offered a new take on the 2D camera, and instead of it just being like on a one plane axis, enemies could surround you now, and you had to kind of manage multiple enemies. It wasn't a one-on-one fight, or just go left or right and defeat enemies that line up for you. No, you got surrounded. You had to watch your position. It was great. Wanted to rival beat 'em up. Let's see. The game had a great music, thanks to a brilliant composer, and I'll put his name in parentheses, or I'll just mention it. Yuzo. Uh, what is his name? Oh, Koshiro. That's right. Uh, and the Genesis superior sound processing. They actually let me redo that. Right click is your friend. The Genesis actually had an extra processor in it that Sega thought would go to uh, horsepower, the processing power, but it turned out it was a little too complicated to use for game loops. But it was perfect to add extra channels for music. So that's why the Sega Genesis typically had better sound effects and music than the Super Nintendo, its competitor at the time. Insert an image. Let's see. Uh, Upload from the web drive by photos by URL. Upload from computer. There's my Streets of Rage. So that's how we can insert images in one way. So that looks a little nice right there, doesn't it? Let's make it a little bit bigger. Put it right there in the middle. So that's one way we can put images on here. I want to make a new slide. Here we go. And I want to give an example of the music slash gameplay. We'll throw gameplay a bone here. I kind of just want to link a video here. I don't need this text box, so I'm going to kind of click on its boundaries where it turns blue, and press delete on my keyboard. Then I'm going to insert a video, and YouTube is linked straight into Google Slides, so it's nice. I can just Google that. I probably want to do Streets of Rage 2, and the best song, Go Right, because you kind of just have to go right in this game. Oh, you know what? I'll do this. I know what level that's on. Stage 1, of course. Soundtrack, go 1, Streets of Rage. There we go. Let's see what that is. I'll just select it. It'll be good enough for my purposes, I believe. So I'm having trouble. I want to see what. Oh, nice. A little emulator action, I guess. Come on, let's get into it. So this is the opening. Oh man, that music. Listen to it. Oh, come on, you internet. This is sad. Here we go. Listen to those sound effects. Those sound effects and the voiceovers, pretty just brilliant. All right, so there's a video in there. Let's make another one, and let's do something like characters to play as. And why don't I just insert a new image, and this time I'll search the web again. Streets of Rage 2 character select. Oh, what? Oh, maybe I should spell it right. There we go. Man, that Google search is not having it. Maybe I'll just do Streets of Rage 2 and it's giving me like riots and stuff. That's crazy, or something. Or just random streets. I guess they're known for their rage in their own way. Streets of Rage, Genesis. It's not a hard one, guys. Wow, this Google search function just really isn't that good. I don't feel like it's giving me the kind of search results. Let's put that to the test. Streets of Rage 2 character select. Yeah, okay, maybe don't use that feature of Google Drive there. But you can see we have a nice character select screen. So I'm just going to drag that picture to my desktop. And let's go to there we go. And I'm not even going to write anything because I'll be able to talk about these characters inside of my presentation. So, bullet points. This was short, concise sentences. If you wanted to bullet point it, you could. There we go. Two images and some video play. I think that's good enough for me. So we can insert stuff, play around with it. I'm not going to go over every single tool here, but you get the idea. And then why don't we see how we can put this on our blog? File, no doubt, not download as. Let's go to publish the web. Publish. Okay. Ooh, you know what? This is going to be crazy. So here's our link. We could do another hyperlink if we wanted. Let's do that method real quick. I'm going to go back to Chapter 2 post on my blogger and edit it. Favorite game and then I can just highlight it, and then I'm going to press Control K to bring up the link, and then I'm just going to loop that in and test. Let's test it. Boom. There we go. All right. You know what's crazier? We can embed this directly into my post. So why don't we see how I can do that? So I'll go back to my spreadsheet. I'll go to, well, you know what? Let's give it a name. There we go. Let's give it a publish to web. This time let's go to embed. And let's copy this code, this HTML code. And now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to switch to HTML. And right at the bottom, I'm just going to Control V, paste that code back in, and boom. Why don't we preview what this looks like? Oh no, that's not looking good. Why don't we go back and select a size? All right. And now we can reselect this. You can see my width and height have been changed in the code right here by selecting small. Let's embed that. That'll probably look a lot better. That preview, no bueno. So let's delete that. Paste in our new code. Oh, I didn't get all the code there. Let me try again. There we go. There we go. Now we have like an embedded slideshow. And I'm going to update that. Why don't we look at my blog? And it's not much, but you can kind of click on it. And if you want it big screen, boom, you can just do that. So, you know, using HTML is not that scary. You just kind of know how to paste stuff in your HTML editor. All right, great. And why don't we finish it off real quick with a Google Sheet. Favorite games of all time, or top 10 games. This video is running a little bit longer than I want, so I will just kind of make one entry and repeat it just so we can do that because I don't feel like making something off the top of my head again. Tetris. All right. So that's not really a good way to start this because we have a certain amount of headlines we have to make on our spreadsheet. So why don't we do this? Why don't we make our headings? Game name, platform or developer, publisher, release year, platforms, and anything else? I think that'll be good for right now. All right, so these are headings. So why don't I give this a little bit of room? Zoom in here and I can get a look at there. You know, to zoom in on a spreadsheet, you have to go to View, Zoom. I'm going to go to a 70. Oh, that's not good. I zoomed out. Let's go to 150% zoom. There we go. And that'll give me easier access to be able to grab these lines in between rows and give them different widths and whatnot. So now I'm going to go to vertical align up there. I'm going to align them right in the center. I'm going to bring down this little bar right here. So anytime there's that entry, there's this one, that. So you can see that those headings always stay where they are. Great. All right, Streets of Rage to keep it simple. Sega, 1992, and we'll just keep it simple with Genesis. There we go. You can see though that my Streets of Rage is getting cut off, so I'm just going to click and drag this column. Now I have plenty of words right there, and for some reason the text is going to the right with our year, and they're all lining to the left with my words. Let's get that all on the same page by selecting my whole column by clicking on its name, or rather row. This is a row. This is a column. You can just click on columns by their letter or rows by their number. So you can make sweeping changes to all of them. So we're going to put all those entries to a left alignment. All right. Yeah, so I'm just going to copy this a few times so I can have a few entries. Yeah, so you can select rows by holding that, clicking one row and holding down Shift and clicking the next one, or dragging against things like of that nature. You can see my heading right there is really working really well. Oh, I forgot to add an entry. So I'm going to insert a row above that. So I click the number row, and I can insert one below or above. This is cool. If I select multiple rows, I can insert the same amount of rows I have selected. So that's how you can put a lot of rows into something. You know what? I might as well. There's only one game in the world. And you know what? I only need 10 entries, but I have 11. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this row. And boom. It's a pretty good list, I would say. It's at least a top 10 of top 10 list. For and it's a little hard to read. There's so many varied entries here. I think I want to go ahead and color the row a different color. So I select my rows with, you know, you know then go to the paint bucket and we just fill it up. I wish there was an automation feature here for that, but there isn't. And I just like using the really light colors here. And as long as the rows aren't the same color, I think it does its trick, to be honest. There we go. And those are some colored rows that we can read easier. Why don't we add thicker lines between our columns, though? Excuse me. So I'm going to select column A, column E. I'm going to go to my borders right here. And I really only want vertical lines right down the center. So boom. Don't accidentally click something like that. You'll just get them everywhere. I mean, unless you want that. But me, I just wanted them right down the center there. I have a lot of excess columns and rows, so I'm going to just delete them. So I'm going to go there and hold down Shift and select that one. Boom. Full gambit of rows or columns. I can't tell the difference between them. So I'm going to select column 11, row 11. And I'm going to go all the way down here to 1005 and delete those rows. And now I have a nice little concise spreadsheet of pertinent information that, you know what, I can even do something like that. I don't think that's going to do anything because we don't have enough columns to zoom over. But now you can see that Streets of Rage 2 is by far the superior game. So what we're going to do now is publish this to the web. We're going to go to publish to web. Again, you can embed this. So I'm going to embed it. Let's see what happens. We're going to embed that HTML the same way we embedded the slideshow. It may not look good, but we're going to pioneer our way through this. And there we go. You can see all this other HTML code. It's crazy what that looks like, huh? And then compose. And that's a pretty small sheet. All right. So maybe we can go to, is there nowhere to change the size? I don't know. Let's update it, and see what we're working with here. Let's go to view blog. And, I don't think I like this. You can't even hardly read it. So maybe for our spreadsheet, let's just link it by URL like so. And then let's turn off these previews right here. Let's go back in and delete this abomination of a spreadsheet. It's a little too small. And then top 10 games. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and Control K. We're going to paste that link that we just copied. Oh, that's not good. That's the wrong one. Let me get in there and delete it. Here we go. That's what I wanted. I want to get a link. See, I think I went to my spreadsheet. Don't make that mistake, right? That's why I went in and tested the link. So I'm on my spreadsheet now. That's good. Let's test it. Boom, there's my spreadsheet. Cool. Okay. Oh, too small. I'm going to highlight it. Let's give it some large text. Let's put it in bold. There we go. And you know what? I think I can safely delete that favorite game thing. And this is my final answer. Boom. Click here for the story of my life. All right, and we'll press back. And then here's my presentation. Let's big screen it if we want to. Press escape to get out of that. And then top 10 games. There they are. Hey, how did Streets of Rage 2 make this list?